There comes a point in every chosen one's journey where life seems to freeze, not just physically, but spiritually. You start noticing it in small ways first. Plans get delayed. Calls you were expecting never come. Opportunities that seem certain suddenly disappear without explanation. And all the while, that high-pitched, lingering, and almost suffocating ringing in your ear keeps getting stronger. But here's the harsh truth most people will never tell you. That ringing is not just a background noise. It's not just a random frequency. It's a time-sensitive, spiritual alert, signaling that your breakthrough is under threat. Your timeline is at risk of delay. Pause for a second. Think back. Has the ringing ever appeared right before something important in your life was about to happen? An interview, a big conversation, a life-changing decision, and then, out of nowhere, everything shifted off course? This is not coincidence. This is what we call timeline distortion warning S. Interference that happens when you're about to cross an invisible checkpoint, a portal, a breakthrough moment that was pre-written into your life path, and dark spiritual blockages try to stop you just before you get there. This is the reason why this channel exists. This is why you found this video today. Because if you carry the letter M on your palm, or if you have the perfect crescent moon etched into your hand by birth, you're not like everyone else. You are a timeline influencer, a pathbender, someone whose next step triggers chain reactions in the spiritual field, affecting not just your life, but the lives of everyone connected to your destiny. But here's the dark side of that gift. Because your steps carry so much weight, you attract more interference than most people. The ringing is like an early alarm, but the problem is, most people ignore it. They think, it's just tinnitus, or it's just stress. But deep down, the energy behind that ringing has a frequency sig. Doesn't lie. Let me explain how this works. In the energetic realm, each breakthrough you're meant to experience emits a spiritual frequency before it arrives physically. Think of it like the sound a train makes before pulling into a station. Your breakthrough carries a vibration, a shift in your timeline, and that vibration creates a ripple through dimensions. Spiritual energies, both light and dark, detect that shift long before you do. The higher forces, they try to send you strength. Your guides, your ancestors, your protectors, they send confirmation signals. But the opposing forces, they create spiritual interference. They flood your auric field with noise, distraction, fear, confusion, and yes, ear ringing. This is why so many people with M on their palms or the crescent moon get flooded with sudden, intense, and disruptive ringing exactly when they're on the verge of alignment. Here's what makes this even more dangerous. These blockages don't always come events. Sometimes the ringing is followed by emotional instability, sudden fatigue, procrastination, random fights with people close to you, financial obstacles, loss of motivation. It's like your energy field goes into fog mode just when you were about to take action. This is called energetic timeline misdirection. And right now, if you've been hearing the ringing lately, there's a high chance that a timeline shift is right at your door. The question is, are you going to recognize it in time? Or are you going to let this interference delay your life path again? You see, chosen ones don't get ordinary blockages. Your obstacles come disguised as daily frustrations. But spiritually, they're engineered to knock you off your alignment window. And let me tell you something important. In spiritual timelines, opportunities aren't infinite. When you miss one alignment window, you don't know how long it'll take for the next one to open again. Sometimes it's weeks. Sometimes it's weeks. Cases it could take years. That's why I'm making this video for you today. Because I know If you're here, still listening, still watching, it means you've missed enough already. It's time to break the cycle. So before we continue, I want you to do something simple but powerful. Type in the comments below, "I refuse to let this ringing delay my breakthrough again." Let this be your first act of conscious alignment. Claim back your energy from this interference. Declare it publicly, not just for the algorithm, but for yourself. Because when we speak it, we shift it. And when chosen ones unify in intention, the spiritual field listens. In the next block, I'll show you the 3 hidden ways your timeline gets hijacked and how the ear ringing fits into each one. Before I reveal these 3 hidden mechanisms behind your delayed timeline, I want to speak to you, person to person, directly from me to you. If you've come this far, it's because your intuition is screaming for answer. Feeling this constant pressure, this sense of time slipping through your fingers, and the ear ringing growing louder each day, then I want to invite you, not just as a viewer, but as part of this spiritual movement, to stay connected with this channel. Why? Because this channel, right here, is not just for casual viewers. It's a spiritual tool, created to reach those like you, people who were born with the letter M on their palm, or carry the perfect crescent moon mark, people whose life paths are entangled with energetic shifts, people who are targets of spiritual interference precisely because their destiny carries weight. So before I move on, I'm asking you, if you want more content that speaks to this exact spiritual reality, where we decode these hidden blocks, where we expose the traps, where we break timeline delays, then hit that subscribe button right now. And do me one more favor. In the comments below, tell me, what's been your biggest spiritual delay? Financial block, a relationship stuck in limbo, a project you can't finish, or even that sensation of simply not moving forward, no matter how hard you try. I want to read your story. I want to respond to some of you personally in the next video. This channel isn't about drama, it's about connection, spiritual awareness, and real solutions for chosen ones like you. All right, let's dive into what's really happening behind this ear ringing and your delayed breakthroughs. This is when your auric field, your spiritual shield, becomes saturated with low-frequency interference. It's like an energetic smog, dense, heavy, and full of static. This happens when you're exposed to toxic environments, low-vibration people, or even internal emotional buildup like unhealed anger, guilt, or fear. When the ringing starts during this phase, it often feels like a chaotic, piercing, almost unbearable sound, because your natural spiritual frequency is being jammed. What does this do to your timeline? Simple. It scrambles your ability to recognize and align with synchronicities. You miss signs. You hesitate at the exact moment you should act. And the universe, reading your hesitation, holds back what was coming your way. Solution for this type of block? Energetic clearing and frequency reset. Grounding, nature, water cleansing rituals, sound baths. Anything that helps rebalance your energy field and clear the static. Ever noticed how right after an intense ear-ringing episode, you suddenly find yourself mentally spiraling? Overthinking, self-doubt, imaginary scenarios that make you afraid to act. Procrastination kicks in. Or worse, sudden unnecessary fights with people you love. This is a classic distraction loop. It's not random. It's engineered to eat your time and mental focus, to make you spend hours, days, even weeks, lost in mental fog. The timeline impact? You literally step off your alignment path without realizing it. That job opportunity. Apply for? You miss the deadline. That conversation you were supposed to have. You delay it until the door closes. That creative project you were meant to start, you keep postponing until the energy that was aligned with it evaporates. The ringing in this case, it acts like the entry point for the loop. It's the frequency that shifts your mental state from clarity into confusion. Solution: pattern interruption. The moment you hear the ringing and feel the mental spiral starting, stop, breathe, write down your next 3 action steps for the day. Anchor your focus back into physical reality. Don't let the loop hijack your momentum. This is the most serious and the least talked about. Sometimes, the ringing is a signal that external, spiritual entities, energies you can't see, are actively working to redirect your timeline away from its destined path. Why? Because your next step, your next breakthrough, will create a ripple effect. You getting that promotion. You, person. You stepping into your purpose could unlock spiritual doors for others too. And lower vibrational forces don't want that. Here's how it shows up. The ringing starts just as you make a powerful decision. You feel an internal pull, like something invisible trying to push you toward a different choice. Sudden technical issues, plans falling apart, people around you acting strangely out of character. Timeline redirection often feels like reality itself is folding in on you. And guess what? Most people fall for it. They assume if everything's going wrong, it's a sign I shouldn't move forward, when in fact, it's a sign that the breakthrough is so close, the interference is going into overdrive. The solution here? Radical alignment and stubborn spiritual persistence. You push through, you move forward, you choose faith over fear, and you reclaim your timeline. In the next block, I'll walk you through a step-by-step ritual process you can use today. Interference, and spiritually recalibrate your path, especially if the ringing hasn't stopped. But before I continue, let me ask you something. If you could remove one obstacle from your life right now, what would it be? Drop your answer below, because the next section is going to target exactly that. Let's stop pretending this is just another spiritual video. This is a direct call to you at this exact moment of your life. Because if the ringing in your ears has been following you lately, getting louder, more persistent, more invasive, it means your timeline is standing at a critical intersection point. This isn't about minor energy shifts anymore. It's about a spiritual confrontation between the version of you that's aligned with your destiny and the invisible forces trying to delay, distract, and derail you. And here's the truth most won't say out loud. If you don't act with intentional spiritual realignment, this interference will win. You'll keep spinning, chances, delaying your growth, and looking back a year from now wondering, why hasn't anything changed? That's why I'm about to give you a timeline recalibration ritual that goes deeper than surface-level affirmations. This is not fluff. This is practical spiritual warfare for chosen ones, especially for those who carry the letter M and the perfect crescent moon on their palms. Because your life isn't just personal. It's part of a larger energetic map, and when your timeline shifts, so does the vibration of the people connected to you. So take a breath, and let's begin. Step 1 is recognition. Before you can clear any blockage, you need to recognize the interference for what it is. The next time the ringing starts, pause, place your hand over your heart, and speak this inward truth to yourself. This sound is not random. This is a timeline warning. I am awake, I am aware, and I choose alignment. Saying this out loud creates an energetic boundary. Feel that you're no longer moving unconsciously. Step 2 is grounding activation. Most spiritual blockages become worse because your energy is scattered and ungrounded. After acknowledging the ringing, get your bare feet on the ground. If you can, step outside. Feel the earth beneath you. Breathe deep. Visualize roots growing from the soles of your feet into the core of the earth. Imagine every ounce of interference, every distortion, every fragment of confusion, draining down those roots, dissolving into the Earth's purifying field. This instantly stabilizes your auric frequency and helps weaken the timeline fog that surrounds you. Step 3 is timeline reconnection through written command. Grab a pen and paper. Physically write these 3 things. First, what breakthrough you feel is being delayed right now. Be specific. Name the job, the relationship, the creative goal, whatever it is. Second, what interference patterns you've noticed around you. Emotional chaos, fatigue, missed opportunities, or heightened ear-ringing episodes. Third, write one sentence that declares your reconnection to your true timeline. Something like, I realign with my destined timeline and dissolve all false paths now. The act of writing this creates a physical anchor between your intention and the energetic plane. Step 4 is frequency clearing. This is where we shift the sound in your auric field. If the ringing is loud and persistent, play a clear solfeggio frequency at 528 Hz or 963 Hz for at least 7 minutes. Close your eyes. Visualize the sound penetrating through your ears, dissolving the ringing, breaking the spiritual static, and reconnecting you with your original vibrational code. And here's where the numbers matter. Do this 7 times over 7 days. Why 7? Because it aligns with the spiritual number of completion and divine order. If you want to amplify this, after each session, light a white candle and gratitude for the breakthrough that's already manifesting, even if you can't see it yet. Step 5 is conscious movement. After the sound clearing, move your body. Dance, walk, stretch, shake your hands. You need to physically release the stagnant energy that was blocking your timeline field. Spiritual clearing is not just mental, it's cellular. When your cells move, your timeline starts moving too. By the time you finish this process, you'll notice the ringing will change. For some, it will soften, almost fade. For others, it will shift in tone, signaling that the interference is breaking apart. Some of you may even experience temporary silence, which, after prolonged ringing, will feel like the deepest spiritual relief. But more importantly, you'll feel your energy field recalibrate. Things that felt stuck will start shifting. Conversations will flow again. Opportunities will resurface. And clarity will return. But let me leave you with this. The spiritual interference isn't a one-time event. It's a constant battle for alignment. But now, you won't fear it. You won't ignore it. You'll recognize it as what it truly is, a call to realign. A reminder that your timeline, your destiny, your breakthrough is worth fighting for. In the next block, I'm going to reveal something few talk about, why spiritual blockers often return in cycles, and how to identify if you've been stuck in a 3-month, 6-month, or even 12-month delay loop without realizing it. But first, let me ask you, have you ever felt like the same block keeps showing up in different forms over and over? Tell me in the comments, because your answer will shape the next layer of this journey. And before we move further, there's something you need to hear. When we talk about spiritual blockages and ringing in the ear, most people think it's a one-time glitch, a temporary spiritual hiccup. But the truth is far more complex and far more serious, you see? In the spiritual field, as the loop of repetition. And this is where it gets real. Many chosen ones, especially those with the letter M and the perfect crescent moon on their palms, are not just being blocked once. They're being pulled into energy loops, cycles, invisible spirals where the same type of delay keeps happening, but wearing different masks. It's that job opportunity that falls through at the last minute. Again, it's that relationship that almost works, but always ends just before something beautiful happens. Again. It's the creative idea that feels like the answer, but suddenly dies in your hands. Again. This is not by accident. This is spiritual engineering. When a timeline blockage succeeds once, it leaves behind a weakness in your field, a point where spiritual interference can easily re-enter. And if not addressed, the delay turns into a loop. Now, here's something most spiritual teachers won't tell you. These loops often run in multiples of 3 weeks, 3 months. For some, it's even 3 years. Why? Because the number 3 represents creation energy. The spiritual realm knows this. And when you're meant to create something powerful, but you're stuck, these energy patterns hijack that 3-based cycle, twisting your creative force against you. Let me ask you, does this sound familiar? You set an intention, you start to feel excited, you make plans, and then a sudden emotional crash, unexpected obstacles, unexplained fatigue, or that overwhelming ear ringing that leaves you disoriented for hours. That's a loop trying to reset itself. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay trapped. You have the power to break the cycle. And it begins with timeline awareness. Let me guide you through a deeper step in this process. This is what I call the 21-day energetic realignment commitment. Why 21 days? Because it's 7 times 3. 7 for divine completion. 3 for creative. Time you hear the ringing. You pause. You breathe. And you take one conscious action that moves your timeline forward. It doesn't have to be massive. It could be making that phone call you've been delaying, submitting that application, starting that project, even saying no to something that drains your energy. The point is, you interrupt the old loop and you reclaim your timeline with physical, intentional action. Because here's a spiritual truth most overlook. Energy responds to movement. Spiritual fields don't react to your thoughts alone. They respond to your steps, to your decisions, to your faith made visible through action. And every time you choose action in the face of interference, you weaken the loop, you shift the frequency, you realign with your destined timeline. And remember, the ringing will test you. It might get louder on day 7. You might feel resistance on day 14. And on day 21, you might feel like giving. No, you're breaking the cycle for real. And as you walk through this, document your process. Keep a timeline journal. Track the days when the ringing is strongest. Note any shifts in your mood, your energy, your opportunities, because patterns will emerge. You'll start to see the invisible architecture of your life timeline, where the blocks happen, when they repeat, and most importantly, how you're now able to move through them. Let me share something personal. Many of the chosen ones in this community have already started breaking loops that held them back for years. I've read the comments. I've seen people go from chronic delay to breakthrough within weeks, simply by applying this awareness. And this is why I'm asking you to stay engaged here. This channel isn't entertainment. It's spiritual navigation. It's timeline defense. And for those carrying the letter M and the crescent moon, it's a gathering place of path shifters, people whose lives it affects far beyond themselves. If your ears are ringing right now as you listen to this, take it as your confirmation. This message was meant for you. This timing, this video, this conversation was not random. So before we head into the final block, where I'll reveal how to recognize if your current ringing is tied to a 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month delay loop, let me ask you to do something powerful. In the comments right now, write these words: I reclaim my timeline. I dissolve all loops of delay. I am aligned with my breakthrough. Type it. Declare it. Let the spiritual field read it. And as you do, know this: you are not alone. And the ringing is not here to break you. It's here to wake you. Let's go deeper, because the most dangerous thing about spiritual timeline blockages is how invisible they become when you're stuck inside them for too long. Most chosen ones, especially those marked with the letter M and the perfect crescent moon on Thay, they're caught inside long-term delay cycles. They normalize the stagnation. They start thinking, maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe it's not my time. Maybe I'm not meant for this path. But what if I told you the delay you're experiencing right now is part of a predictable, repetitive, and spiritually calculated loop, built to reset itself every 3, 6, or 12 months to keep you stuck in the exact same spiritual location? Let me explain each of these hidden cycles. And as I do, I want you to listen carefully and ask yourself, which one feels like it's been controlling your timeline? First, the 3-month interruption loop. This is the most common and the most deceptive. It shows up when you start building momentum towards a goal. You feel excited, you take action, and then, somewhere between week 10 and week 12, everything falls apart. You lose motivation, life distracts you, sudden unexpected challenges appear, and the ear-ringing spike. Give up. For most people trapped in this loop, life becomes a series of false starts. You get close and then stop. You restart and stop again. If you look back at your last few projects or goals, notice this. Did they all collapse or fade out around the 3-month mark? That's not coincidence. That's a 3-month spiritual interference pattern. And if you're hearing ringing at the 10th, 11th, or 12th week of any major goal, take it as your warning flag. Now the 6-month spiral loop. This one is for people who seem to make progress, but it's always short-lived. Every 6 months, like clockwork, you find yourself back at square one. A relationship that feels like it's growing suddenly ends. A job that seems stable suddenly crumbles. A personal project with momentum suddenly hits a wall. What makes the 6-month loop so dangerous is that it tricks you into thinking you're advancing because it gives you temporary wins. But as the 6th month, returns, louder, sharper, as if your energetic field is being pulled backward, dragging you into the same emotional and spiritual place you were 6 months ago. If you've been repeating the same emotional patterns, financial status, or personal conflicts every 6 months, you're likely trapped in this cycle. And finally, the 12-month collapse loop. This is the most severe, and unfortunately, the one many chosen ones don't notice until years have passed. Here's how it works. You begin the year with hope, new goals, fresh intentions. Maybe you even make big changes in January or February. Then, slowly, by the middle of the year, the ringing starts showing up more often. By the final months, everything you tried to build begins to dismantle. You close the year with regret, frustration, and that lingering feeling that you're stuck living the same life year after year. For people caught in the 12-month loop, this ringing often comes in phases. Loud D, when you fall back into stagnation, then erupting again as another year begins, tempting you with the illusion of new beginnings, only to repeat the delay all over again. So how you break these cycles? First, by identifying which one you're in, because awareness is the first line of defense. Look back over your last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Where did the patterns repeat? When did the ringing intensify? What major life areas keep getting delayed? Next, you implement intentional timeline disruption. This means doing something completely out of character, something your spiritual blockages won't expect. If you always quit at month 3, you force yourself to cross into month 4, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. If your energy dips at the 6-month mark, you change your routine, your environment, your spiritual practice during that window. And if your life collapses every December, you start making your biggest moves in November. Chance to reset the loop. Numbers matter in this process, so choose dates with energetic significance. For example, if your block always comes at month 3, plan your next breakthrough action on the 4th day of the next month. If it's the 6-month loop, make your shift on day 7 of the 6th month. These numerical anchors create friction inside the energetic loop, disrupting the pattern and forcing a timeline shift. And now, as you feel this energy building, you might be sensing something shifting inside you already. You're becoming more aware, more awake, and more ready to reclaim what's been delayed. In the next part of this journey, we're going to go even deeper. I'll reveal how these delay loops often carry generational energy, meaning the blockages you're facing now may have started long before you were even born. But before we go there, let me ask you, do you recognize yourself in any of these cycles? Is it the 3-month false, the 12-month collapse? Tell me in the comments. Your answer could be the key to the next phase of your breakthrough.